Hello, welcome to SciShow Talk Show, that day on SciShow where we talk to interesting people about interesting things. Today we have joining us Douglas Emlen, also known as Doug, author of Animal Weapons, a book about the various arm races that have gone on between all sorts of animals, including, turns out, us. Doug, hi!
Hello, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I love science books, and I was excited to find out that there was someone right here in my very small town of Missoula, Montana, who had written one. Tell us a little bit first about your research. Who do you research?
I work on beetles, is what it comes down to. And I want to qualify that the book is on animal weapons, and I work on animal weapons, but I work on a special subset of weapons, which are the really, really big weapons. And I just have to confess at the outset, I've been crazy about animals that are so bizarre looking and extreme that when you look at them, they look like they shouldn't be possible. These are animals that look like they should tip over, or they should trip, or they should get tangled in the trees or the branches when they move, because the things sticking off of their bodies are that extreme. And so in the case of the beetles, there are thousands of species that have horns sticking off the front of their bodies. It can be coming off the thorax or the shoulder blades, or coming off the heads. There are species with 1 horn, 2 horn, 5 horns, all sorts of weapons coming off these things. And most of my research concerns sort of the genetics and the development and the evolution of these weapons.
So like why it happens, how it happens?
You got it, all of it. I started out years ago looking at beetles that were even smaller than these guys, little tiny dung beetles that had crazy horns coming off their bodies. And we really didn't know that much about what they did. So a lot of the research was watching them in the wild and figuring out how they use the horns. And they're basically analogous to what you'd see as antlers in elk or deer. The males have the weapons, females don't, and they use them in these battles over access to females. And these things are extreme. They're expensive to produce. They're awkward and expensive for these guys to carry. They make it more difficult for them to maneuver, to do basically anything. I mean, imagine having an extra leg on your head for everything that you do. It would get in the way all the time. But the ultimate currency that matters in life is reproduction. And they help a lot when it comes to getting access to reproduction. These things tend to crop up in species where there's intense competition among males over access to a limited number of reproductively available females. And in those battles, that is literally do or die. If you fail to breed, you're done. I mean, that's it. That's the end of the game in the evolutionary sense. So these guys, these weapons matter a lot in competition for reproduction.
So this is a big weapon, but it doesn't feel huge to me. I was wondering if you could show me an actual, like
put it into context for you.
I can do that. Yeah.
Can I get up and go get it?
You'll get it.
We're back on. All right. So to scale that up to a more appropriate size for us to appreciate, I happen to have a pair of elk antlers. And again, the key point is these antlers, relative to the size of that bull elk, are actually smaller than some of the horns that these beetles produce and carry around on their bodies. And I can promise, and I can hand them to you if you want, these things are heavy. I mean, it's incredible to imagine a bull carrying this around, you know,
that's
on top
like
of their heads
as big as they get,
everything
right?
Everything they did. This is a pretty decent sized male. They get a little bit bigger.
I mean, I see elk.
Yeah.
But I don't see them this far away, and so I have a hard time imagining that they really are that big.
And they're that expensive. When these weapons get big, they get expensive. They get very, very expensive for these animals to produce. And the antlers are a really good example to illustrate that point.
They do all the work to produce them, and then they're so energetically expensive to even have.
To carry, I promise you could sit here and do your exercises lifting these things. They weigh a ton. But not only is it expensive for these animals to carry that everywhere they go,
hello, buddy.
But producing...
I'm not a strong man.
I'll let him hold it. No, it costs a lot for the animals to produce it. There's been some really neat studies looking at how much it costs the males to actually produce that. And the most recent estimates suggest it costs a bull elk as much to produce a rack of antlers as it costs a cow to raise 2 calves all the way to weaning. That's a huge investment. And one of the ways
you could be making so many more babies if you were sharing that wealth.
Exactly.
But you can't.
Well, no, that's the point. They wouldn't be making any babies if they didn't allocate the wealth like that. And that's a really good place to point out the cost. they're building bone, and they need phosphorus and calcium in order to make the bone, and they can't get enough of that from the forage that they feed on. So some of these studies suggest that these guys...
Do they cannibalize from their own bones?
They do. They shunt it. They leach these things out of the rest of their skeleton to pour it into these weapons. And then they throw the weapons away at the end of the season. So these males actually go through a brittle-boned osteoporosis period exactly during the rut, when they need these things, and they're smashing into rival males in these knockdown, drag-out, do-or-die battles. And again, elk are sort of an example that we can see and relate to, and because they're heavy, it's easy to appreciate how expensive they are. But it's important to recognize that there are all kinds of animals that do that, right? So there's rhinoceros beetles, there's dung beetles, there's these flies, there's crabs, there's shrimp with huge claws. There are thousands of species out there where the males are doing exactly the same thing. They're shunting huge amounts of resources into these weapons for one purpose, just to duke it out and fight over access to females.
But there are other reasons to have weapons, because traditionally we think weapons are for killing. And these don't do that much killing, I imagine.
No. Well, no.
Occasionally.
Occasionally. No, that's actually one of the fun twists that came out of reading about these arms races, is one of the things that happens in this kind of a weapon. You've got the very small number of males with the huge weapons. You have lots of the population that's somewhere in between with sort of intermediate weapons, and you get the smallest males with the fewest resources having tiny, tiny little weapons. The weapons end up becoming hugely disparate in size from animal to animal within a species, within a population, and it makes them a good signal. It's not an accident that the really big, best conditioned male has the huge weapons. It's because he is in the best condition and the healthiest and the most resistant to parasites and had access to the best food. That's why that male had the really big weapons. Right. That's the male that's going to win the fight. So if you're a male and you're going up to another male and you got to decide, do I want to launch into this thing? It makes really good sense to look at the weapons first. But what it means is these males don't actually fight as often as you think they would.
Right, they're just signaling.
They can fight, and they will fight.
I can definitely
see. But what
that.
happens is most of the encounters end up getting resolved without a fight.
So we have weapons used as a deterrent, as a signal, but then there are also weapons that are developed that are actually used for death and killing.
There are.
And you look at lions, they got big teeth.
Yeah.
But it's not like this, They don't have like teeth like sticking out of their face, and they're just not like hitting, because they got to be sleek, they got to be fast.
You're right.
But there are some animals that have crazy, crazy teeth, and I
got one of those too.
Okay, let's talk about that. All right, so this is a crazy set of teeth. That just why would a predator that has to chase and because we think of tigers and cats now as mostly chasey.
Think
run
of
them down.
Run them down.
And that's going to slow you down.
Yes.
That is
which is exactly why there aren't very many things out there like this.
Yeah.
So this is a really screwed up animal, no matter how you look at it. Everything about these guys is a mess. But
so they actually their jaws do close. Then you have this happening, which is it's terrifying, but it's also a little silly.
Well, so this was a problem for me, right? So here I was trying to read about all these animals with crazy weapons, and most of the weapons that I study and most of the weapons I was reading about are these weapons that are used by males.
Right, it looks like a walrus tusk, which would be used by...
Well, so walrus tusks are used by males. They're sexually
Yeah.
dimorphic. They play by the same rules as the beetle horns and the elk antlers.
Yeah.
These guys didn't. So there was this problem. It was clear that there were also other examples of really extreme weapons that weren't specific to the males, that weren't used in these battles over access to females. They were used by predators. And you raised the key point there. Why would you ever get an extreme weapon in a predator? Because most predators have to fly fast or swim fast or run fast. They've got to be agile. You picture something like a lynx chasing a snowshoe hare. They burst out. The prey, they just explode out from their hiding point.
But you have appropriate, efficient weapons.
Because if they get too big, they slow you down.
Yeah.
They make you awkward and gangly, and you're not going to catch the prey in the first place. So the bottom line is bigger weapons are better for killing. You can kill bigger prey if you have bigger teeth. But when they get to the point where they make your head all screwed up, where your head has to tip back in order to arrange for the teeth,
and you've got your eye socket literally isn't closing because you have to have the muscles flying through there like that. That's weird. This is a weird shape for an animal.
So the point is most predators can't play by those rules. They'd never make it. They would starve because they wouldn't be able to catch their prey. And so the trick with these guys is that they're not your normal predator. They were not fast. These are not cheetahs with big teeth. These are big, stocky, robust animals that they could not have run down anything. But we don't think that that's what they did. So the latest paleontological studies suggest, looking at joint articulation and what these guys, their muscle size and what they did, the latest ideas on saber-tooths is that they actually hung out on branches of trees and they dropped onto unsuspecting prey, like lumbering juvenile mastodons, and they literally dropped from above and plunged the suckers right into the back of the neck of their prey. And so they were ambush predators. And that's the ticket. That's the key to understanding weapons like this, because an ambush predator doesn't have to run fast.
Right.
They don't have to stalk and chase down their prey. They sit and they wait and they grab it when the prey comes close to them, or they drop, like the cats. But if you think about it, there actually are a lot of predators that are ambush predators, and many of them have crazy weapons like that.
I also want to point out that this is how this thing's jaw actually hinges, to get it open enough.
So the way I like to explain that is it's like opening up a stapler. If you want to use a stapler where you punch it down into paper, you have to flip open the bottom hinge and flip the bottom all the way out of the way, because it's the only way you can bring it into contact. And these guys have a special hinging mechanism that let their jaw fold all the way back so that they could use those things. And if you look at it when they close their jaw, I mean, these were really screwed up animals. Their heads were tilted back in order to project the jaws forward so they couldn't see where they were running. And these things got in the way. Imagine eating with teeth like that. I mean, think about it. So the wear patterns on the teeth suggest that these guys had to gnaw their food through the sides of their mouths because there was no way to get around the giant teeth. So they could kill something, but once they had it, what are you going to do? Basically, they had to eat sideways through their mouths to get past these things. And so the idea there is that normally predators face sort of a tug of war, a balance. Killing bigger prey means you want bigger jaws, bigger mouths, bigger teeth, but it slows you down. So if you have to catch the prey, there's this balance. Selection for maneuverability keeps the weapon small. Selection for killing keeps them big. Once you're an ambush predator, that constraint's gone.
All you need
Off
is
to the races. You can get
big
really
weapon.
big jaws and teeth.
All right. I am fascinated. This is Douglas Emlen's book, Animal Weapons. You can get it wherever books are sold.
Pretty much.
Hopefully. So if I was an animal that had to worry about ambush predators, which thankfully I no longer am, what kind of strategies would I be hoping for?
I know what I'd want.
Yeah.
That would be a really good suit of armor.
All right. Jessi is going to join us with an animal that has a really good suit of armor.
Exactly.
All right, everybody, this is Jessi Knudsen-Castaneda from Animal Wonders, and she has a present for us. It's wrapped up.
It is like a present, yeah. Well, she was sleeping, and she can get cold easily, and it's wintertime now, so I wanted to make sure that she stayed nice and warm. But here she is.
Okay. Oh, man, there's a softball. There's a softball in here.
This is a southern three-banded armadillo, and she's got a heck of a set of armor there.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
This is a dream come true. Can I hold it? Please?
You will in a second. In a second. How about you touch her, and then I'll let you hold her in a
second.
second, because she'll roll up into a ball if she smells someone unfamiliar.
So most of the animals with armor do that, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly. So
trilobites
that's
do that,
her.
And pillbugs do that, and
Yeah, they kind of the same type of mechanism that's allowing them to survive over and over is that they will, if they are threatened, they will roll right up into a ball. She
I'm
can
scared.
roll
Oh, man.
completely
that's
up
amazing. That is so
into a
cool.
ball.
And the tail makes like the other piece that the head...
Yeah, she's
my
like a
God,
little
that's
puzzle.
Like a little jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
Aw.
A little hat piece there.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Back out there.
Okay. Where did this little girl come from?
She was purchased to be a mascot for the World Cup.
Oh, that's weird.
And to bring in, people to come, woo, we have our own armadillo. Because the mascot for the World Cup was the Brazilian three-banded armadillo, and they raised funds to help out with the endangered species and conservation. But these guys look very similar to the Brazilian three-banded, and so she was purchased for that. And then when the World Cup was over, no use for her anymore, and so she was sent to a rescue, and we rescued her from there.
Was it like a bar or something wanted to have it?
I don't know exactly who the people were.
Come on in to get
see the armadillo
and buy beer.
Yeah, and drink. Yeah. I'm not sure, but then she lost her home, and
now I have a new one.
now she has a new one.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
She does not have a name. We've been calling her and an armadillo. She does not have a name. She's a new ambassador, and we're actually looking for someone to name her for a donation.
Yes.
They can They can name this little lady right
adopt
here.
an armadillo.
Exactly.
You're weird. No offense.
She's really weird. She's really weird, and I think the weirdest part of her is how she moves around.
Especially now that she's ice skating.
She is, and it's very hard for her to.
Yeah, it's like she's got ice skates on the front.
She just keeps her front feet like this, and then she pushes around to the back.
Just like you have just one fingernail. I want to see her belly, but I feel like it's unlikely.
You might get it if I open her
get a
up. If we
glimpse.
just get her calm, and then.
Oh, it's so fuzzy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, she's like, I don't like
this.
it. I don't like it.
Yeah. And I was having a blanket on her. I keep trying to put my hands on her like this and keep her on my lap to make sure she stays warm, because these guys are very susceptible to cold, and they have a pretty low basal temperature and metabolic rate. They're low, just like humans, and so they can actually get leprosy, and everyone knows that. Everyone knows that.
Right. What is the leprosy thing?
Now you tell us.
Should I not lick my hands? So they can get leprosy.
Can you get leprosy?
No, can I? Sure.
I can get leprosy. Humans can get leprosy.
Everybody can get leprosy.
Armadillos can get leprosy.
Fine
But
print.
most
You didn't tell
animals
me that
can't.
before this interview.
Most animals, most mammals, most placental mammals can't, because they have a higher body temperature and it'll kill it off. But the ones that have lower are susceptible to it. Now she doesn't. I mean, she's been tested, and just like we would know. We would know if we had leprosy.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And it could be treated. It's treatable now.
in armadillos as well as humans?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. That's nice to know.
Yeah.
I don't know very much about leprosy. I should do a SciShow.
There you go.
Do a SciShow on leprosy. That'd be a upbeat one.
Yeah. But they're always, people are always like, don't touch armadillos, they'll give you leprosy. But really what it is that they are capable of getting leprosy and carrying it. All right. Well, this unnamed animal, which you can name if you go to subbable.com and check out the Animal Wonders campaign, you can adopt an armadillo. You can also get Douglas Emlen's book, Animal Weapons, on Amazon or at audible.com. I could talk about this stuff with you for hours, and I want to, but luckily for everyone else, you could just read the book, and it'd be like talking to him for hours. We've got a link in the description for that. And you can check out Animal Wonders web YouTube channel at youtube.com/AnimalWondersMontana. So thanks so much for bringing in this unnamed, beautiful beast.
To be named.
And it was just an absolute pleasure to talk with you, Douglas.
Pleasure.
This has been an episode of SciShow Talk Show that I have really enjoyed. Thank you for joining us. If you want to keep getting smarter with us here at SciShow, you can go to youtube.com/SciShow and subscribe.